Good evening here, YouTube people. What is going on with you all tonight? Happy Saturday to you all. It's almost Sunday, so I'm just saying it for right now. It's like, I don't know, maybe 7 minutes after, 5 minutes after 11, something like that. I'm on the East Coast, so I have to just call it as I see it. But nevertheless, my mom and my sister came over today. My mom was bearing gifts, and my sister had bought me some shoes. But everything was cool today. I love seeing my mom and my sister and her husband. My older sister I haven't seen in quite a while, but she lives a lot farther from here than my mom and my younger sister. Anyway, but they all do live in Georgia, so. But to get back with what I was saying, my mom had bought me several gifts, and I'll tell you a little funny story. So she shows me this old school right guard, right? And she said she bought it because she had bought it for her husband, and it turns her on. So I look at her and say, Mom, it's not something you want to tell your son. I think it would be the worst thing that would push me away from even trying it to give me that kind of thinking in my head. But we made fun of the situation. My sister started laughing, and then my mom finally started laughing about it. But yeah, it's not something you want to tell your son or daughter. Nevertheless, we had a good day today. My sister bought me some shoes. She bought me some Skechers, which I love those. They're very comfortable, It's like walking on air almost. And they brought the vacuum cleaner over there to me. I got myself a computer and a printer, and everything's wonderful. It's great. But I wanted to tell a story about my past, okay? Because I've talked about healing before. You not only have to heal from relationships, but you have to heal from many other things like childhood wounds. I had this time and I'm not gonna say what it is that my mom said. She said it on the spur of the moment, and it was because I had done something that could have put me in jeopardy. It could have got me sick. It could have killed me. And she didn't know, so she just outright spoke it to me. And she didn't realize how it affected me in my life's journey, and I never did heal from it. I just kept that inside. And so about, 6 to 8 months ago, I was talking to her, and I told her, and she said, well, why are you talking about this now? But I told her, it's not for your sake, it's for mine. And this is what I wanted to get into as far as your conscious mind and your self-conscious mind. Your self-conscious mind is stronger than any computer that was ever built. And even miles and miles stronger than any computer that would ever be built. But it is something that can affect you. That my mom got me that vacuum cleaner over there too. Okay, so my mom said this at the spur of the moment, and she didn't realize it. And at that moment, that it happened, I had forgotten about what it was. So, I don't know, maybe about a year ago, I started praying about it. I said, Father, please reveal to me what it is that she said, what is the reason she said it. I knew what she said, but I didn't know why she said it. So I prayed about it, and honestly, I only had to pray about it one time. And it was like my father shot me with an arrow, and it hit me like lightning. And so I got the answer, and I thought about that. We all can do things that are not necessarily the most correct things to do, and affect somebody's life. And like I said, she didn't realize how it actually did affect me. But she said it nevertheless. So when she said to me, why are you bringing this up now? I said, it's not for your sake, it's for mine. I just wanted to clear that from my self-conscious mind. My conscious mind is cool. I mean, whatever I see, whatever I hear, whatever I touch, that's all conscious. You're conscious, blah, blah, blah. But your self-conscious mind will attach itself, whatever it is, will attach itself to your self-conscious mind. And it won't go away unless you heal from that situation. So I wanted to first let her know that I forgave her of that situation. Like I said, when it hit me like lightning. Pow! And it was like right there. And I didn't know that I would get it that quickly even. Like I said, I only had to say it one time. Just like I'm talking now, this is how I talk to my Father, okay? He is with me at all times. And he says he is a jealous God. So I talk to him not like he's a regular person. Definitely I have very much respect and everything like that. But I can't say like I always bow down, get on the ground and bow my head and, blah, blah, blah. Because that seems to me too much in the routine type of situation. I treat him with much respect, but I also treat him like he is truly my Father, because he is. And so, a lot of people will look down upon you for that reason, but I believe in my heart that I'm doing right because I treat him with all due respect, but I speak to him like he is truly my Father. And I don't believe that anybody could do that without speaking in that manner, You get on your knees and of course, I'm going to bow down to him and everything else when I am in his presence. But being here and him being somewhere else, I don't look at it as being necessary because he goes with me wherever I go. So he can hear me whenever I speak. And so I use it in that manner. But nevertheless, I cleared that from my self-conscious mind. And I felt so much better, like a big, huge weight was lifted off of me after I did that. And I no longer feel the type of person that my mom called me. because at that time I did. I was just a kid, you know. I think I was 12 or 13 or something like that, you know. And I actually felt that way. But, you know, as the years went by, I think it had a lot to do with the choices that I made, decisions that I made, things that happened. And I'm definitely not blaming my mom for that situation, but it was there. And I did not acknowledge it when I should have acknowledged it. But I kind of threw it on the back burner, and it just rode around with me most of my life, you know, and I was thinking about it. What should I do in this manner? Because this process right here that I've gone through has been the most important healing part of my life. And, you know, I'm embarking on a totally different decade here within next year that I just wanted to, or this year, that I just wanted to get that off of my self-conscious mind and implant it in the ground as being a dead thing, you know. And I don't need to visit it anymore, and don't need to worry about that anymore and think about that anymore. And it made me feel so much better. It truly did. And there's quite a few other things that happen like that. Like back when I was younger, I was working and I was living at home. I had my own means or whatever, but I wasn't doing it exactly as I should have done. And I hauled off and hit my brother. I know I spoke about this before, but I hauled off and hit my brother, and my dad talked to my mom, and they both talked together, and they helped me pack my things up, and my dad put them in the back of his truck and dropped me off in the parking lot of the place that I was working at. And it was really a bad feeling to me. And that was something that I also needed to get off of my own chest. So my grandmother passed away, and she left all of us. She had many grandchildren, but she left all of us a check and some stocks within the General Electric. And because my grandfather worked there, my dad worked there, my uncle worked there, a lot of them worked there, okay? And she had many stocks in there. I did not get any. My grandmother was very much into people that gave to her. If you didn't treat her the same way that she treated you, or what she thought she was treating you as, then she didn't do for you quite as much as she did other people. So I got a $500 check. Well, at that time I owed my dad $200. So he took the check because it went to his house, and he cashed the check and took the $200 that I owed him out of it and gave me $300. So that's how that worked in that manner. But during that time we were cashing the check, I told him of that situation, and I got that off of my chest, that I at the time I felt slighted. My younger sister, who came today, she stayed until she was like 31, 32 years old at my parents' house, but I did not have that opportunity. And when it was spoken to me, it it was spoke through the Bible. My mom was like, well, the Bible says when a man comes of age, he leaves the house and gets a wife and children and does his own thing on his own and this and that. And so I was like, okay, but why did you allow my sister to stay there until such and such a time, and then she was able to buy a home and everything else? I struggled quite a few years before that ever happened with me. I had a lot different of a life than my sister did. My older sister also. I mean, I struggled a lot of times. And most of the time, I put myself through that, okay? I'm not even blaming anybody on that. It was just a totally different life than what they have experienced. And so they didn't know what it was like to struggle as I have. And it was really very much different. If you looked at them and you looked at me, you would see a totally different situation. And so I told you before, ever since like 2016, 2015, 2014, somewhere in there, I've been watching gold digger videos on YouTube. And, a lot of that was prank, and it still is. Sometimes they find women and pay them money to actually walk by them, and then they talk to them, and the girl turns around, comes back to the car. But I think more so now, it's not as much staged as it used to be. And, it's not difficult to find a woman walking down the sidewalk. I could go out in a car right now and do the same thing. It's not really that difficult to find a situation of that nature. So, and I think they figured that out years ago and just started doing it without actually planning it. And so now you watch them, but in all due respect, I find that this world is come to you do for me, and I just sit around, kind of like the whole love and marriage. Yes, kind of like the whole Peg Bundy situation where she's sitting on the couch eating bonbons and watching Oprah Winfrey. And the man is off making a living for himself and her and the children and this and that. And everybody just lives off of you with no insight and no plans of doing anything differently. Like, I told you about my situation when I came back from the Philippines. I was homeless, okay? If I had a genuine woman in my life, one that is not, quote unquote, considered a gold digger, then I don't think that I would have had that situation happen, because she would have helped me during that time. And of course, I don't mind paying bills and things like this. I never did have that hang up, because if you're paying bills, you basically have to look at it as you're going to do that anyways. If you live on your own, you still have to pay bills. I mean, it really is the truth. So if you attach yourself with somebody, you're still going to have to pay bills. The only difference in that is a woman with a different mindset, okay? She wants to strive and do for herself, and you should let her do so. But a woman that is not really concerned with much of anything but her own life, and if you had any kind of struggles in your life, she would just leave you automatically. I don't believe that is the type of woman that any guy would want. You know, you have to have some kind of mindset that, hey, I understand this, okay? If my husband or boyfriend or whatever it is to you has some hard times, I can be an extra leg holding him up while he's going through a tough time. And then when he gets back to where he used to be, now if he never does, I do agree that there is a limitation and a time or something like that. But yeah, I mean, if you start going into the second year or something like that, and he's just sitting around playing PS5 or something like this, yeah, of course, there would have to be a certain limitation, but for a guy to bring himself from nothing all the way up again, I think it would be an important thing for a woman to do. A lot of women don't have patience like that, and they think that they are so entitled to just sit around, and yeah, there are responsibilities that women take care of if they're doing the household chores and this and that, taking the kids back and forth to school and this and that and everything else. Yeah, I get that, okay? But if you don't have children with this person, and, once you get the house clean and you cook, what else are you doing? So it should be like an equal thing, like, oh, I got you, honey, don't worry about it. And then the guy gets back on his feet, and then he takes over the responsibility once again. But a lot of women, you just, all of a sudden, let's just say you lose your job or something like that, or something happens to you, like, God forbid, you get in a car accident, you lose your big toe and you can't work, and you start getting disability pay or something like that. For a woman just to up and leave you because of this situation, I don't think that is good. It's not. It never would be. Because for myself, I'm the type of person, if a woman is in a car accident and loses both of her legs from the knee down and cannot no longer do what she did before, I would take care of her till the bitter end. If I was, in a relationship with her and knew her and this and that, I wouldn't see a problem in taking care of this woman. But I would have to know in the back of my head that she would have done the same for me if it happened to me. Like I said, I knew that my mom loved my dad because after he became sick, that was it. And my dad was young when that happened, My dad was born in 1941, so I said 1978. He had to be in his 30s when he could no longer work. He was disabled, okay? So why would I want a woman that would just up and leave me if I have some kind of troubles going on, I think anybody would be that way. I think that's the problem in today's society. I always was taught to put yourself in that other person's shoes. Would you want them to do that to you? When you do that and you earnestly think about it, you might come up with a little bit different of a thought. than just having in your mind that a woman is supposed to take care of the household duties and this and that, and the man is supposed to go out there and bring home the bacon, let's say, and then next thing you know, something happens to him, and the woman up and leaves the guy. Come on now, it doesn't make sense, but that is how the general population believe in this moment in time. And I'm not saying all women are the same. They're not. There are really good women out here. But, like I said, I understand. I always put myself in the shoes of the other person. So I understand the woman. But like I said, when it comes to these gold digger videos, I can see where they can say that this woman is a gold digger. They walk up to them, I'm good. They don't even want to look at the person that is trying to say a few words to them. They're not coming off crazy or anything. They just introduce themselves to that person, and then I'm good. And then they act so entitled, and they come back and they're like, oh, I didn't know. What you didn't know? I didn't know that you had this kind of car. So a material item is what brings you back to a person's car, a person. So naturally, any guy is gonna think, okay, so you came back because of the car that I'm driving. Well, it makes you look stable. Okay, so I'm walking on the sidewalk. It doesn't make me look stable, but you are also walking on that same sidewalk. Make it make sense. And a lot of people don't. They don't make it look, why? Why should it be that way? But it is. And I also have a problem with that, I'm very generous. I am very empathic. If you know me, you know that. Matter of fact, if I won $300 million in the lotto Monday night, let's just say, this is just a figure of speech, but say I did, 75% of that is going to be given to worthy causes, to help other people, to do things of that nature. You would look on my account, he's worth $300 million, and then a week later, he's worth $68 million. Because I would not live with that much money like that. I wouldn't. And so, I don't understand people. But see, with that $68 million, I would definitely invest and come out with even more than $300 million and then give a portion of that away. Why? Because I'm not looking to enrich myself so much that, my next generations and that they will never struggle as I have. I think it's all of us that should struggle. Why should you be any different than I was? I learned many lessons and actually became a better person through what I have learned. So if you never learn from that, what kind of person do you become? And so, and we just keep getting further and further down the road with people expecting of you, like they're entitled to something. Nobody is truly entitled. If you go to the book of Genesis, God said it, from this day forward, you will work, you will labor. talking about the women laboring for birth and everything else. You will work, talking about the man. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, I have to live anyways. If you're adding a little bit extra to what I would normally pay, that's cool with me. I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, I am very empathic. I don't mind helping others, okay? But if I'm with you, I'm gonna help you and teach you how to become that same person that I am, okay? And we get this from helping others. So it's like one big circle of life, okay? Call it what you will, but that is what it is. The Lion King shows that. You give, you will be given. It says it, and I believe it. And so, time and time again, I know that I have done right in what I've done, okay? There were many women back in like 12 years ago. I was corresponding with many women in the Philippines, and a lot of them are single mothers, let's just say. And they got 1 or 2 or 3 kids, but they're single because they have no abortion, and you cannot get a divorce there also, although I believe you can get out of that situation now, but it doesn't become a divorce, okay? But nevertheless, so there are many single mothers in the Philippines, The guy decides he wants to lay a seed in a woman, and then she has a couple of babies here and there, and then he's gone. He don't want to mess with her anymore, for whatever reason. And so, yeah, they do this kind of thing, and then there's so many single women. So I never felt like sexually involved with anybody like that. I just wanted to help them. So I went into the situation with that in mind. But it just so happens that I fell in love with one. I was trying to help all of them, honestly. And I gave many of them, $20 here, $10 here, $50 here. I did that. And I have done that, okay? But I was always looked down upon when I did this. And I don't get it. I don't, because that was my life. And I always tried to do my very best when it came to that. But I felt like people spat in my face, treating me like viciously, like I was some kind of bad trash or something. And I felt that. So I came back here and decided to live my life the way that I need to live my life and not worry so much about other people as much as I needed to first worry about my own life and then help other people, because I was putting other people ahead of myself, and I should not have. Nevertheless, I want you to know that I love you. I love you right there. Love yourself. Love my Father God, and by all means, love each other, people. Until the next time, love, peace, and soul.